That $90,000 van you're about to buy, it'll be worth $45,000 in 2 years, and I can tell you exactly why. I'm watching people destroy their retirement accounts on camper vans they'll hate in 6 months, not because the vans are bad, because buyers are making the same 7 catastrophic mistakes over and over. Today, I'm showing you the exact traps that separate smart buyers from broke, regretful ones. And if you're already shopping, one of these is probably about to cost you $20,000. Let's go. Mistake number 1. Buying for Instagram, not your life. You're buying someone else's dream. Here's what happens. You watch van life videos, you see the Mercedes Sprinter with the cedar ceiling and the copper sink, and you think that's what van life looks like. So you spec out a $90,000 build with features you saw on YouTube. Then reality hits. You're 5'10", and that gorgeous fixed bed means you can't stand up in 60% of your van. The farmhouse sink, it holds 3 plates. The diesel heater everyone raves about? You're camping in Southern California where it's 70 degrees at night. Here's the truth. The vans that perform best on social media are the worst vans for most buyers. They're beautiful, impractical, and built for photographers, not for living. Before you choose any layout, ask yourself, how do you actually spend your time? If you work remotely, you need desk space, not a fancy lounge. If you're traveling with kids, you need storage and durability, not white linen cushions. If you're weekend warriors, you don't need a composting toilet. You need a van you can park in a Walmart lot without looking like you live in it. The Roma Traveler and the Winnebago Solis are perfect examples of this divide. The Roma looks incredible, but the Solis, it's designed for real use. Better storage, easier to drive, actually fits in parking garages. One gets views, the other gets used. Mistake number 2, ignoring the total cost of ownership. You're only looking at the sticker price. Let me hit you with some math that most dealers won't mention. A $70,000 gas-powered Class B camper van versus an $85,000 diesel Sprinter 4x4. On paper, you're saving $15,000. Sounds smart, right? Wrong. Here's what actually happens over 5 years. That gas van gets 14 miles per gallon. The diesel gets 19. If you drive 10,000 miles a year, which is conservative for full-timers, you're spending $1,200 more per year on fuel alone. That's $6,000 over 5 years. Now add maintenance. Diesel engines last longer, but when something breaks, it costs double. A diesel Sprinter transmission repair? $8,000. Gas Ford Transit, $4,500. But the Sprinter will likely go 300,000 miles. The Transit may be 200,000 before major issues. Then there's depreciation. This is where people get destroyed. A custom Sprinter build loses 25 to 30% of its value the second you drive it off the lot. But a factory-built Winnebago Revel or a Storyteller Overland Mode, they hold value because there's an actual resale market. And here's the one nobody talks about: insurance. A $120,000 custom van, you're paying $3,000 to $4,000 a year. A $70,000 factory build? Half that. Total cost of ownership isn't sexy, but it's the difference between van life being freedom and van life being a financial anchor. Run the real numbers before you sign anything.
Mistake number 3, wrong size for your actual use case. You bought too much van. Everyone wants the biggest van they can afford, and I get it, more space sounds better. But here's the reality check most people need. A 170-inch wheelbase Sprinter is a nightmare to drive, park, and own if you're not full-timing. I'll give you a real example. Retirees buy a leisure travel van Wonder or a Pleasureway Plateau. These are 24-foot Class B plus vans, massive inside. Then they realize they can't fit in half the campgrounds they want to visit. They can't park at trailheads. They can't drive through historic European towns. And they're getting 10 miles per gallon because they're basically driving a house. Compare that to a Ford Transit 148-inch wheelbase or a Ram ProMaster 136. You lose a little interior space, but you gain usability. You can parallel park. You can hit up national forest roads. You can stealth camp without looking like you're running a mobile Airbnb. Here's my rule. If you're weekend warriors or part-time travelers, stay under 20 feet. If you're full-timing and mostly doing RV parks and BLM land, okay, go bigger. But don't buy a bus when you need a car. And honestly, the couples I see who are happy as long-term are usually in vans that feel slightly too small at first, because that constraint forces you to simplify your life, and that's the whole point. Mistake number 4. Skipping the boring stuff that actually matters. You're obsessing over countertops and ignoring electrical systems. Here's what I see constantly. People spend weeks debating butcher block versus quartz counters. They agonize over cabinet hardware. Then they get a van with a 200 amp-hour lithium battery and 200 watts of solar, and they wonder why their fridge dies after 2 cloudy days. Let me be blunt. Your electrical system is the heart of your van. If it's undersized, your entire trip becomes a logistics problem. You're hunting for shore power, you're running your engine to charge, you're rationing your fridge. In 2026, here's the baseline you need. 400 amp hours of lithium batteries minimum if you're running a fridge, a laptop, and lights. 400 watts of solar minimum. 600 if you're in the Pacific Northwest or traveling in winter, and a 2,000-watt inverter if you want to run a microwave or power tools. I know that sounds expensive. It is, but here's the thing. You can upgrade your countertop for $300. Upgrading your electrical system after the build, $5,000 to $10,000 because you're ripping out walls. Same goes for insulation. People cheap out on spray foam and use foam board because it's $1,000 less. Then they're freezing in Colorado or baking in Arizona. False economy. Do the boring stuff right. Make it sexy later.
Mistake number 5. Shifting the timeline to fit your personality. You're buying new when you should buy used, or you're buying used when you should buy new. Here's the controversial take. For most people, buying a lightly used camper van is smarter than buying new. A 2023 model with 15,000 miles is already eaten the depreciation hit, and you're getting essentially the same van for 25% less. But, and this is important, there are 3 scenarios where buying new makes sense. 1, you're full-timing and you need the warranty. If something catastrophic breaks and you're living in the van, a warranty is worth $15,000 in peace of mind. 2, you have very specific needs that the used market doesn't offer. If you need 4x4, lithium batteries, and a wet bath, and nothing used checks those boxes, fine, buy new. 3, interest rates are low and you're financing. Sometimes the manufacturer incentives make new cheaper than used over the life of the loan. For everyone else, buy used. Let someone else take the hit. A 2022 Winnebago Solis with 20,000 miles is functionally identical to a 2025 model, and you'll save $20,000. But here's the flip side. Don't buy a 10-year-old van with 100,000 miles to save money unless you're mechanically inclined. The money you save up front, you'll spend on repairs. And if you're retired and living on a fixed income, that's a disaster. Buy the newest used van you can afford. That's the sweet spot. Mistake number 6, ignoring resale value. You're not thinking about resale. I know, you're not buying this van to sell it, you're buying it forever. Except statistically, you're not. The average van owner sells within 3 years. Medical issues, family changes, financial surprises, life happens. And when it does, resale value is everything. Here's the brutal truth. Custom Sprinter builds lose 40 to 50% of their value in 3 years. Why? Because your custom layout is your layout. The next buyer doesn't want your weird corner desk or your oversized bed. They want something proven. Factory builds, Winnebago, Iron Steam, Storyteller, Pleasure Way, they hold value because there's an actual resale market. If you're going custom, fine, but build it with resale in mind. Stick to standard layouts, use quality materials that photograph well, and for the love of God, keep receipts for everything. Because in 2028, when you want to upgrade or downsize, that resale value is the difference between taking a $30,000 loss and a $15,000 loss. Plan for the exit before you enter. Mistake number 7, buying emotionally instead of testing reality. You bought after one test drive on a sunny Saturday. Here's what you need to do, and almost nobody does it. Rent the exact van you're thinking of buying for a week in bad weather. I'm serious. If you're considering a Sprinter 4x4, rent one. Drive it in rain, park it in a city, sleep in it for 3 nights, cook in it, work in it. See if that layout actually works when you're tired, hungry, and your partner is also trying to exist in the same 60 square feet. Because here's what happens when you don't. You buy a van with a permanent bed and realize you hate climbing over your partner to get out at night. You buy a pop-top and realize you're claustrophobic. You buy a wet bath and realize you'd rather have storage. 1 week of rental will teach you more than 100 YouTube videos, and it'll cost you $1,500. Compare that to the $15,000 you'll lose if you buy the wrong van and have to sell it in 6 months. Test reality before you commit to it. Here's the insight that's going to make some of you mad. Most people don't actually want van life. They want the idea of van life. They want freedom, adventure, simplicity, but they don't want to empty a cassette toilet. They don't want to drive 200 miles to find free camping. They don't want to shower at a truck stop. And that's okay, but if that's you, don't buy a $100,000 camper van. Buy a $35,000 used RV and test the lifestyle first, or rent, or do 6 months in an Airbnb in different locations. Because the van isn't the dream. The life you build around the van is the dream, and you can't buy that. So here's who should buy a camper van in 2026. You should buy if you've tested the lifestyle, you've run the numbers, and you're willing to compromise on aesthetics for functionality. You should not buy if you're running from something, if you haven't done a real budget, or if you think a van will fix your problems. A van is a tool. Use it wisely. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these mistakes do you see people making most, or did I miss one that's even worse? Drop it in the comments. Let's have a real conversation about this. And if you bought a van and regretted it, tell me why. No judgment, just data.